So, my friends, it is my privilege to introduce our next speaker, Mark Falzon. Some high points from his bio that really struck me. He has built and exited multiple businesses across industries, 4 of which are ranked amongst the 100 most fastest growing companies in Australia. He's the founder of Mad Ventures, a $100 million impact investment platform, and he's also the creator of Metis, a breakthrough diagnostic framework that fuses myth, psychology, and strategic insight. And I had an opportunity to ask him some of my favorite little questions. So something you may not know about him is that from a very early age, he's been a lover of travel. And as a filmmaker, he spent time with ancient Aboriginal tribes, witnessing and capturing their stories and their transformational rituals and practices. Now, laughter is not hard for Mark. He finds laughter in everything, including himself and others, and also finds ways to laugh in the moment of heated arguments. So we appreciate how you handle that. Beautiful, wonderful. Fun is also everywhere in his life with his wife and children. And as far as his well-being, he said, I don't do enough, but he's had a strong meditation practice since youth. So for a conversation about how we're moving from the very complex to the simple, in this conversation beyond the hero, mapping the hidden terrain of transformational leadership, please welcome to the stage with thunderous applause, Mark Falzon!
Thank you, thank you. Who here believes in magic? Oh, thank God. I've got to turn a 1-hour talk into 30 minutes, so I need lots of magic. And the clock started already, so I'm not going to waste any time. Who remembers the moment in their life that led them to being in this room? Yeah? Pretty amazing. I remember the moment in my life. I was a young kid, 9 years old, and I got up to go fishing one morning, and I'm walking across this old wooden bridge and staring at the water and the sun sparkling on it, and suddenly this question popped into my head, and it was, where did your last step go to? And I'm like, what is that? And then the next question was, and where is your next step coming from? And it was like, I'm 9 years old, and I'm thinking, what's going on? And I'm thinking about this, where's the past gone? Does it still exist? Where's the future? Is it already there? Am I just passing? Wow. And then suddenly I realized that I'd stopped walking and I came back into my body in this moment. And that moment was the moment for me that my life changed, that the quest began, the questions that were out there, and it was like, I get emotional when I think about it, because it was like one of those moments that I think we all have at some point. And our quest begins, and we get, as Joseph Campbell says, in the hero's journey, which we all know in this room, I am sure, we get the call to adventure, And the hero's journey is really about the quest. And the quest is really about the questions. What are the questions that we get asked? And my question was, this thing about where am I in space and time? So at the hero's journey, we go from the known world, as we all know, into the unknown world. Sorry about my writing. I practice hieroglyphics, so... and so at some point we get the call to adventure, and then the first thing that shows up is the threshold guardians, as we know. And they're usually the people that love us the most, or the voices in our head that tell us, they're trying to keep us safe and protect us and keep us away from all of this stuff down here, this fear. And what happened for me was, when I came across this work as an entrepreneur, it changed everything for me. It changed the context of my life, because I suddenly saw that all of these trials and tribulations that were showing up in my business were really just opportunities for me to learn and to grow. So who here sees themselves as an entrepreneur in their business? Yeah, a room full of entrepreneurs. So the next thing that starts to happen, I think, as we're on our journey, and we've all had this happen, is we ask these questions. Who am I? And why am I here? And this helped me understand that, to learn and grow. That was part of why I was here. But the other part for me that came through was that I'm here to create. And if you think about it, we are all on what I call the outer edge of possibility. And if you think about the universe and the expansion of the universe, at some point, current theory is it started around 14 million years ago. And it's expanded out ever since. If you think of it like a balloon, we are on the outer edge of that expansion. All of us, right now, in this room. We had a moment that called us in the past, that's brought us to this moment, and we're in the room standing on the edge of what's out here, which is the field of possibility. And we live here. We are the end result of 14 billion years of evolution and transformation and growth and expansion. And it hasn't been easy. There's been galaxies colliding with each other. There's been stars exploding. There's been all sorts of tumultuous activity that's led to this moment. And here we are as human beings, sentient beings standing on the edge of possibility with this incredible ability to learn and grow from the experiences of all the people that have been before us, and to look into the field of possibility and create things. And everybody in this room is a creator. This came from the field of possibility, from this place out here. We, as human beings, could envisage it, we could see it, and then we used our abilities to change this, which is just energy, into matter and create this. And if you think about that, we're all just alchemists. Like we're the end result of the universe exploring itself and looking back and growing and learning and having insights and wisdom, and at the same time we look forward and we can create. And we're all doing this all the time. We are incredibly powerful creators as human beings. So if we're powerful creators, I think you should all have a rubber band on your table. If you could grab them, there might not be enough for everybody, but that's okay, we can share. If we're powerful creators, which we all are, what we need to think about is, what's the process of creation look like? Because if we can understand what the process of creation looks like, we can be even more powerful in creating the future, creating possibility. So if you think about this, and this is Fritzy's work, we've gone from Joseph Campbell to Fritz, we'll jump all over the place today, but if you think about this, you hold the band in your hands like this. And we've probably all done this before, but just hold it for a moment and feel that tension. Yeah? That's what I call creative tension. And as creators, we all sit in that tension all the time. And our ability to sit in the tension and hold the tension and not do what most humans want to do, and that is resolve the tension. And because we don't like the discomfort of the tension, so we want to resolve it. And so what we tend to do is go, here's our current reality on our left hand, here's where we are today, and here's our future potential, here's what we want to create. And as soon as we create this experience between, we'll call it current reality and vision, we get creative tension. And creative tension is an incredible power. It's an incredible force. And when we harness this force to help us achieve our vision, it's what we can do is magic. We talked about magic. But what happens for a lot of people is they go, oh, I don't like the tension. I'm going to resolve it. So they reduce the vision. I want to change the world. Maybe I'll just change my neighbourhood, Like, I can't even imagine changing the world. But There's one other force that's in this that comes into play. Jack, if I can grab you for a tick. So imagine, do you mind to stand up? So imagine you've got this going on, the creative tension, and then in your left hand, and do this with your partners, with your left hand, there's another force at play, and it's doing this, okay? And this is called psychological tension. And this, our left hand is our current reality, and our right hand is the future possibility. So now we've got psychological tension. This is all the stuff that's, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not capable, I'm not all the not enoughs. And so we get into this pattern as human beings, and we lose sight of the vision over here, and it starts to diminish because we put our focus on trying to resolve this tension over here, which is our psychological tension. And so this abundant field of energy we've got here, suddenly, instead of harnessing that energy to create the outcome we want, we do this. We try and resolve the psychological tension. And then we get into this loop. And the loop is, if this, then that. If I had enough money, I could change my business. If I was courageous enough, I could get on stage and talk in front of all of these amazing people. Whatever the fear is that shows up. And it shows up all the time, because we're all here on our hero's journey. We're all doing it all the time. We started, we got the call, we jumped in, we crossed the threshold, we overcame our threshold guardians, and we launched ourselves into the fear, and then we went, figure it out, and we came back. But all the time we're going, if this, then that. If I can resolve this, then I can have that. And what we do is we waste this precious resource we have, this energy, and focus it in the wrong spot. So as entrepreneurs, as visionary leaders, we need to refocus our energy here. And what I've found in my life is the more I focus on the end result, the more I don't worry about the psychological tensions. And what starts to show up for me is magic. Well, people call it magic because they're like, how did he do that? How did he go from there to there? And it's because we're harnessing the universal energy for what it is we really want to create. And when we do that, this is what happens. This force, this tension, this psychological, this creative tension that we've got, suddenly does this, and we go beyond what we thought was possible. And it's effortless. We just sort of magically create and move into the future of the potential future that's there for all of us all the time. Does that make sense? Okay. So, as an entrepreneur, I've kind of tried to make some sense of the world because it's bloody complicated, and I've got a bit of a model that I want to share with you today that I've been using for a while now. We're creators. We want to create something into the future. We've seen the vision, and I'm going to draw a little light bulb here. It's a terrible drawing, but that's what happens. Suddenly an idea comes into our head. I want to create a training program. I want to do this. I want to do that. And we get this idea. And so to make the idea possible, we have to do this. We have to take action, yeah? And we have to have knowledge. We have to know things. We have to know things, and we have to do things. And for a lot of people and entrepreneurs and creators, they tend to get caught in one or the other. Like I'll just, if I know it and I just focus on the end result, and if I, receive, because this is about receiving, energy flowing in, and this is energy flowing out. So if we just receive, this will happen. It doesn't happen. It might happen, but it doesn't just magically happen. And then you go to other entrepreneurs that are like, I'll just do more. I'll just be more action, the ever-ready bunnies. And they work really hard and they do lots of stuff, and the light bulb's still not coming on. It might come on a bit, flickers here and there. But really, the magic's not happening. But when you get these two forces working together, when you know and you do, and you have wisdom and you take action, you start to illuminate the light bulb. So there's a bit of a process for us to get there and to manage that. Jung talks about our 4 stages of expansion as human beings. And we start off with self, then we have others, then we have our community, and then we have the world. And so if you think about the hero's journey, and we cross the first threshold into fear, we're still down here in this safe place. This is safe down here. And so in the safe place, we're overcoming all our belief structures that we inherited from our family or from whatever else happened, all our wounds as children, But we have to deal with that. We have to go, all right, I think I'm okay now. I've kind of figured stuff out. Then we go to the next level out here, which is called validation. And at this level, we're going, I finally feel like I'm good enough. And then we go out here and we go, but do you think I'm good enough? And we look for external validation, and we're still playing this game that's kind of like it's trapped energy, if you think about it. And so at some point then we get past that and we go, you know what, I'm okay. I don't even really care what other people think anymore. I'm good. And so we go out and we're at the next level. We're out now, we've expanded ourselves from ourselves to our community to the next level. Then we're out here. And that's when we start to be of service. At this level here, we start to want to serve. We want to start doing things for others. And so at some point, we cross this tipping point in here in service usually, where service stops being about validation, because that's usually how service starts. I'm going to be of service so that other people think that I'm good or worthy or whatever it might be. But at some point we even get beyond that and we go, I'm just going to be of service, selfless service. And when we cross that tipping point, the next thing that starts to happen is that we want to make a difference. It's beyond us. We want to make a difference in the world. We want to help change things. We've got enough wisdom and insight. We've had enough experience and taken action, and we get to this place of wanting to make a difference on the planet. And you can see how we're expanding out, And then we move past this to this next level, which is about inspiration and transformation. And that is where we get, and I think that's where this room is, where we have a group of people that are passionate about wanting to inspire and transform. And when you think about inspire and transform, those 2 words, and you break them down, inspire is in spirit and transform is to go beyond what's possible. And so when we connect with people, and I bet everybody in this room has had this experience of when we connect with people at that level of spirit, when the ego drops away, when the connection starts to happen, when the magic starts to develop in the relationship, and it can be in minutes and seconds or it can take forever. But something magically happens then where this transformation takes place. The relationship goes to another level. The thing you were sharing with them, if you're consulting or helping, suddenly they go, the light comes on. And there's this moment of transformation to go beyond what was, to become what could be. And so if you think about that, when we're operating at this level, at our highest frequency, because this is all about energy, and as we're moving from our lower energies to our higher energy, as the frequency increases, when we start operating up here, at this field of energy and field of possibility and potential that's out here in the future, magic happens. I call it alchemy because we take one thing and turn it into something else, and we can do it with incredible ease and grace. The balance between those two. Everything in the universe is balanced. So if we think about illuminating the light bulb and all of this process here, there's other natural forces that we have access to in the universe. And those forces are energy. So what is energy? Electricity is an example. Think about electricity. Electricity always existed out here in the field of potential, or field of possibility. Always. It was always there. Humans only recently found it. because we got enough knowledge to understand it and start to use it and start to apply it. And you took action to create things using it. So the field of potential, the field of opportunity is always there for us. But if we're tapping into energy and we want to illuminate this, and we think about the power, the force of energy, we have two fields. We have the positive side of energy and the negative side of energy, the yin and the yang, the out and the in. And what happens a lot is that if you imagine this as we're the source down here, the battery if you like, and we're powering the creation that we want to create, and we are putting energy out and receiving energy back, what happens a lot of the time is the circuit's broken. We haven't joined the circuit. And so this field of opportunity, this energy, this potential that can effortlessly flow into illuminating the things we want to create, if it's not working, when you put power into it, this doesn't come on. And that's what happens for a lot of creators. They struggle to make the idea, the vision, the future reality a possibility. So when you join the force, when you realize the power of creation and where you're playing in the field, and you start to see all the pieces come together, something, I keep calling it magic, but something magic happens out here. And this is typically where a lot of the breakdown happens in this field here, in the knowledge field, because it's about the receiving. And it's very hard for a lot of people to receive because of their belief structures, their early childhood belief structures. I'm not worthy, I don't deserve this, or I'm not good enough, or whatever it is that's actually repelling, not attracting, not allowing it to come into you, not allowing it to flow into your life effortlessly, because we block it. So we've kind of got our foot on the accelerator, go, 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 create, 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 and a foot on the brake. And the energy is not flowing. And so it becomes really difficult. But when you see this and you start to live into this and you start to allow it to flow in and you start to give it out in service and to make a difference and to inspire and transform others, it amplifies itself, it magnifies itself, it goes out into the field and becomes, as we all know in here, the law of attraction, And that energy starts to flow back into us, and it becomes this loop, the vortex, the thermal that takes us up, not the vortex that pulls us down or holds us anchored. So I don't have time today to go into this full model, but this model goes a lot further, as you can imagine, because we talked about the axes of knowledge and the axes of action. So if you think about the axes of action, we've got over here inaction, and we've got here ignorance. So if you look at a bigger quadrant, we've got a quadrant down here, a quadrant here, a quadrant here. Down in here, we've got people don't know much, people don't do much. We've all come across those. The cynics, we don't really kind of resonate with them, different frequency. Over here, we've got high action, low knowledge, risk takers, call them gamblers. Up here, we've got dreamers. Lots of knowledge, don't move into action. They're dreaming. We don't have time to talk about all of that, but there's layers and layers and layers to all of this. Now, if you think about language, we use words like depression, and we use words like elation. And if you think of any word that ends in ion, typically ion, which is a measure of energy, gives you a feel for the language you're using and the frequency you're oscillating at. So if you're using words that are like depression or frustration or whatever those words were, you can feel the energy in them, they're heavier. And if you use words like elation or vision or inspiration or transformation, they're lighter, they're higher frequency, higher energy. So as we move from lower frequencies to higher frequencies here, we start to... Have you all seen on Instagram now when you put a sound or a tone into a field and you've put sand or something on it and it vibrates and it forms a pattern? Well, we're doing that. We're oscillating at a frequency that forms a pattern. And that pattern shows up in our life all the time. It just keeps repeating itself. You know how some people get caught in relationships that are just dysfunctional and they go from one to another to another? Because they're oscillating at a particular frequency that creates this particular pattern that just keeps going. So we have to change our frequency to change our pattern. And when we change our frequency and we change our pattern in the world, then we start to see magic happen. Things start to come in to that pattern effortlessly. When you get the right frequency, you have a plate full of sand that suddenly turns into this mandala that's amazing. It's like so complex and beautiful and inspirational. And we've known this forever because, you know, we look at all of our ancient artworks and everything, and the mandalas tell us the frequencies. You know, we've known this for so long. So that starts to give us a look at the creative process. The next piece is that if we think about where we are at any point in time, which is our current reality. Right now we're in our current reality, today. And that current reality that we're in today is the result of all of the choices that we've made in the past, back here. So those choices that we've made led us to where we are today. And we make about 10,000 choices a day as a human being, from the insignificant things to the, you know, incredibly complex things. If choices determine our current reality and we want to become creators of a future reality, then we need to understand how powerful choices are and what the process is of making choices. So just ask yourself for a minute, how do you make choices? What's your process? Are they good choices? Are they bad choices? Are they informed choices? Are they from your higher energy, intuition, insight, inspiration? Or are they from your lower energies? You know, your frustration or your overwhelm or you're not worthy or you're not good enough. Because our belief structures inform the choices we're making. But how do you transcend that? How do you go beyond that? How do you start to intentionally and consciously make choices consistently? I'm not going to give you the answers today, we don't have time, but I'm going to ask the questions. Because as, you know, Gautama Buddha said, it's not the answers we need to know, but the questions we need to ask. Like my whole journey started with the question, where did the past go to and where does the future come from? That question changed my life. I didn't have the answer, but it set me off on a journey of discovery, which has been incredible. So choices are really powerful. Think about choices. Think about how you're making them. Think about the process of making them. Then the next piece is structure. And I'm taking you through this from the perspective of being an entrepreneur or a creator. If you want to create anything in the world, you have to have structure. Without structure, it doesn't exist. That has a structure. Your business has a structure. Does the structure serve you or not serve you? Structure has dimensions to it. There's soft and hard structure. So if you think about your business, the soft structures are what? Culture and team and people and branding and the intangibles. And hard structure is what? Rules and regulations and reports and, you know, performance standards and things that are harder in the business. And some people focus on the soft. Oh, it all feels great. And don't worry about the hard. And some people focus on the hard and don't worry about the soft. But when you get the balance right of these two, the soft and hard in your business, the soft and hard in your life, you know, the masculine, the feminine, when all of that comes together in your structure that you're putting together to support the business that you've got and the vision that you've got and the future reality that you want to create, magic happens. How are you putting your structures together? Are they serving you today? Do the structures, like Michelle was talking about, that you've got today, will they serve you tomorrow? What's happening right now in the world at a micro and a macro level is that structures that served us in the past aren't going to serve us in the future. From small structures to macro structures. You think of the world right now, environmental problems, structural. Political problems, structural. Education problems, structural. Economic problems, structural. Major structures that were designed to contain society that came from our previous level of wisdom and knowledge are breaking down at a rate of knots, and we need to, as leaders of the future, or as inspired transformational energy forces in the universe, we need to think about what are the future structures, macro or micro, that we could be bringing into the world, because that will change the future. So once we've got structure sorted, the next piece that's really important, it's like the eighth wonder of the world, is leverage. Sorry about my writing, folks. It doesn't get better. Oops, I've lost my mic. So, leverage is this magic thing that doesn't care about outcome. If we use leverage for good, we amplify good. If we use it for bad, we amplify bad. If we bring money into a business, because we're entrepreneurs, and we go, we need to invest into our future, but we haven't got the structure right, we're making choices that aren't serving the outcome, and we're not clear really on what the vision looks like, and we add money to that, we add leverage to that, what do you think is going to happen? We're going to amplify the problems. But when the structure is right, and the choices are good, and we're clear on what it is we want to manifest and create in the world, and we bring capital or money into that, magic happens. It's such a powerful tool. And we all have access to it today, more than we ever had throughout history. It's incredible. The amount of money that's available in this world to be applied to things, to create things, is incredible. What happens often is that money goes into things that haven't been well considered or thought or planned or structured, and it gets wasted. And a lot of that goes on. So when we do that, when we got leverage now into our business, the next thing that happens is we create an outcome, and I call it legacy. We get to a point where we're creating the legacy. The legacy is what we set out to achieve. And everybody in here has created a legacy. We'll all die one day, and at that point, somebody will, stand up and talk about us and tell our story. And could be a great story. It might not be a great story. But who really cares? Because we'll be dead. So what? I'm more interested in what's the legacy that we're living every day of our lives. How are you living your legacy today? What does that look like for you? And how is that legacy that you're living today making a difference and inspiring and transforming others as the leaders we are in this room? How are you applying that at the highest level? Knowing all that we know about where we are and where we're going and the challenges that we're facing as human beings, how do we as a group, individually and collectively, go, let's live our legacy towards the future I know this room, more than probably any, can see and believe is possible. When we have experiences of that, of seeing and believing what is possible, it's like, why can't the world be like this? And so, when this all comes together in this magical sort of process, and we get clear on our vision, we understand the choices we're making, we understand the structure that will support that, we apply the capital, and it's not just money leverage. Leverage is everything. Employing the right people, having the right processes to educate them, buying the right businesses. Everything is leverage if you understand leverage. And then we add the leverage, and then we start to live the legacy. And the legacy is aligned to our vision, and our vision is aligned with this journey that we're on. The who am I and what am I here for? When you start to get clear on this, and you know the formula for creating that, magic happens. Should I get one of those standing ovations now? No, I'm kidding. I really like that. Thank you, thank you. There's another one in a minute. I've got 1 minute left. So, my legacy that I'm living now is what I've created. It's called a business called MAD. And MAD stands for Make a Difference. And what we're doing is bringing capital to businesses and entrepreneurs and people that want to make a difference on the planet, that can see into this field of potential, that can understand the broken and dysfunctional structures that we've got, and that they're looking into that space and going, we can do something, we can create something, we can make something, we can change the future. So MAD is supporting businesses, not just with capital, but we've built a team of people, we call them ambassadors, that have all got this incredible experience, and they wrap around the people that we're investing in, these visionary entrepreneurs that are wanting to make a difference on the planet, and they bring their wisdom and knowledge to help support them and help them to get good structures in place and to help them make better choices so that their businesses become more magnified, more amplified. And so the leverage then, the investments in them then, become more magnified, more amplified, which means there's more money to come back and go into other businesses and other opportunities and other people that are making a difference on the planet and creating the future possibility that I believe, all want to see. So I just want to thank you all today because we created magic. It's 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you.